Does school make you feel like a failure? Trust me, you are not alone because I was in the same position when I was in high school back then and I didn't know what to do with my life. Teachers didn't believe in me. I had a lot of stress with my parents because they were also just stressed about my grades and that I will not do anything with my life because of how I was performing in school. But if I look today at myself, I'm now 25. I managed 2 years ago to move from Germany to Nairobi in Kenya, building my own business right now here on the continent, sharing my story with you and inspiring as many people as I can. I think I can say that I built a life that I can be very proud of, even when not performing in school. And I want to show you that school is not the only measure that should define what will come out of your life in the end of the day. And I'm happy that you're watching this because I know how it feels to be in this exact same position. I went to school in Germany and I think up to the 6th grade I still enjoyed school somehow. I was still like a medium good person in school, but like I think after the 7th grade everything started to go down. My mindset was shifting. I was also in a phase where I just didn't care about nothing. What totally makes sense in that time, but like I didn't know how to handle things while going to school. So because of this, there was more pressure coming up from my parents. There was more pressure coming up because of my bad grades. The longer I continued just to survive in school, the harder it got for me. I was lacking more and more knowledge in terms of like what we had to learn. My exams got worse and worse and worse over time. But I even had to repeat the 8th grade and I almost failed while repeating the 8th grade almost again. But I managed somehow to pass just with being lucky, to be very honest with you. I just didn't care too much about what school is about and like that I needed at all, and I had just no motivation to pursue the things because I just didn't care. When I managed to go into the 9th grade, I almost failed the 9th grade again, but I just passed it. I remember how this felt because the teachers were like not very supportive. I had like a couple of teachers that were trying to help me because they knew that I'm not dumb, but I was just lacking the motivation myself. And I had some teachers that were the opposite, that were telling me that I have no future if I continue like this and that I should change the school, that I should think about what I will do with my life, that I maybe should stop going to school like after finishing the lower classes and just start working or something. And I remember how this made me feel. I felt in this situation, I felt for a long time, I felt like I was stupid. I felt like I was dumb because I just had pressure and stress everywhere because of my grades and because of the way I was behaving in this time. The more I believed the things they said, because my classmates also started making jokes about me because I always had like the worst grades in the exams. And I was also okay with this at some point. I was like, hey, I'm a failure. I will just continue the way I do. I will see what I can do with my life afterwards. But I was just not motivated enough to change anything and started to soak in all these beliefs from my classmates, from my teachers, and almost gave up myself, to be very honest with you. But I remember that the time of change came, finally made it to the 10th grade. I somehow passed the 9th grade like very, very closely. I managed to get to the 10th grade. And I started working actually from when I was 15, but I was still quite young, so I didn't understand the value it brought me back then. And I was just working like in a restaurant, like as a small job just to get some money for myself and just to, I didn't know that I was going to work to learn something. I was just going there to work and to make some money actually. But when I hit the 10th grade, I think I was now 16, 17. And while going to school and working, I slowly understood what I actually am good in, because I was thriving at work at a certain age. When I was working from 15, at 17 I was already like so far ahead with this work that I could manage the whole restaurant on the weekend myself, and I was like the person managing everything, coordinating the people, taking care of all the problems, trying to solve the problems. And the more I was working there, the more I understood that I'm not meant to be in school, that I'm actually just looking for something else that I can put my time and energy in, because I grew so much while working that I even also got a little bit better in school. Even if I just got exactly the points I needed to pass my A-levels, I still managed this. But to be honest, this just came from the mentality I earned while I was working, because after this I was just thinking about like, I just want to be done with school. I want to push myself just to work, to learn and to grow much further, because I saw how much joy this brought up in me. I was at some point, even while going to school, I was like work every single day of the week. I was working at some point even like 4, 5, 6 days a week while doing my final exams, while going to school. And I saw how much I changed and developed, and I also could build different relationships with my teachers back then, just because I gained experience outside of the school. I think when I was 18 and with 19 I finished school, so with 19 as well, I understood that I never wanted to go to university anyways, and that the things the teachers told me and the things my classmates told me were completely irrelevant for myself, because I just didn't care to go the same path as they did. because I understood that working is something that's for me. I like to learn while doing certain things in action and not just sitting in the class and getting and listening to someone has done the same things over and over again for the last 20 years and even doesn't care too much about his job, to be honest, that he wants to teach you something, you know? That's what I understood back then. And this is what helped me to find my personal way. And at that time, I also understood that school is not the only measure of success, because I was already making more money than most of the people in my class, because I was already working quite a lot. And even after school, I started working full time. I was going in 60, 70 hours in our family business because I wanted to learn, I wanted to strive, I wanted to take it over back then. And I found out that this measure of success for me personally was not in my grades, because anyways I never looked at my report card after receiving it for my A levels ever again in my life. So I never used it as well. So I understood that the skills I gained while working, while talking to people, while having a bunch of conversations were far more important for me than everything else I learned in school. And I think what I want to tell you with this is just like that you need to explore your interest outside of school. If it's writing, if it's painting, if it's art, if it's working, if it's building your first small business next to going to school, figure out things outside of school to actually find your true passion. Because what I learned about finding your passion, and I'm still on the search for it, but I'm definitely getting closer and closer to it, is what helped me the most is simply doing things outside of the regular way and like trying to try out as many things as possible to figure out what I actually want to do. So because I was working while going to school, I could see a whole different world and could meet a whole bunch of different people that all had different kinds of life perspectives that helped me to understand what I want and what I don't want for my personal life. So when I think back now, the best thing I could have done is just doing things outside of school. For me, it was work, but for you, it can be painting. For you, it can be, I don't know, going to different art classes. It can be also working. It can be writing something, writing stories. It can be making movies. It can be anything, but it's just important that you start trying to do things outside of school as well, just to figure out what you actually care about, what you want to do with your life, and to see that there's more to life than just school. Then you will understand that the things that people say, they're oftentimes miserable with their own life. Because for instance, the teacher that taught me was just an unhappy person himself. When I look now at his life and remember what he was telling me and how he was behaving, he just looked all the time like he didn't want to be in school. He was just looking forward to finally retire. That's at least the way I see him now. So how is a person like this able to show you what you should do with your life and to teach you some valuable lessons? What I don't like about the school system is oftentimes the teachers that are going to teach you, they were students like you, they didn't know what to do with their life, so they just started studying the subjects that they are teaching you today, and they did nothing else with their life, so they have no life experience at all. And what I understood from living my life more and like going out more and traveling more is just that I have to learn from people who are actually experienced in life and gained life experience, and not people who just are book smart. If you just read books, you know all these theories, what you learned while you're studying in university, but you have no actual life experience. I bet I can tell you more stories about certain kind of things that people studied their whole life in, because I have actual life experience in these things. And I think this is far more valuable to learn from someone who lived life instead of someone who learned about life in theory. But of course, it takes time for all of us to understand how to go this way, how to follow our own path. Just to give you another example, it's like, for instance, now when I look at the people I was going to school with, most of them are still in university. It's now 6 years later because they had to change the subjects, and now they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. So they start studying a topic, they start something new, and they're just spending time on it, what is completely okay, because we all need to figure out what we actually want to do with our lives and like what we actually care about. And I think that's the problem, that we oftentimes run from school right away into university without actually knowing who we are, without knowing what we want to do. And I think this is what makes it very, very much difficult. I think when I would look now for things to study, even if I really don't have the ambition to study now, because I love to learn while doing things and love to learn from people who have experience. Now I think I would have a much clearer vision of the things I actually want to study and want to spend time on to get better at, than when I would have just jumped straight away from school into university. It's what I see with many of the people I used to go to school with. They start, for instance, studying business, and in the end of the day, they don't care about it, and even like studying business will not teach you the same business skills that I went through and I had to learn over the last couple of years as well. What was important for me to understand these things was first of working while I was in school, or like doing different things while being in school. It's something you can do as well. I think there's something you are more excited to go home after school. So maybe if you have something like this, why don't you spend some more time doing this as well and take it a bit more serious and and the second thing I would really recommend, what helped me, was leaving the country for a year. So I finished high school when I was 19, got my A levels, was working for a couple of months after this, and then I did an exchange program and went to the US. What also helped me to just develop myself much further, even after being there for 3 months. And I was talking to people at home that were telling me, wow, you changed so much, you grew so much further. It's so incredible to see what is happening to you right now. And I was spending there almost a year, and I cannot tell you enough how big of a change it was for me. It first off made me much stronger as a person, gave me much more confidence. It helped me to understand the things I want to do with my life, and it helped me to meet so many amazing people from all over the world. They were doing so many different things basically that showed me what is the potential in this world. And we have, in the end of the day, especially when we are from the Western world, like I grew up in Germany, we have endless possibilities. We just need to take action. And this sometimes where we limit ourselves. And if we limit ourselves and are not aware of the opportunities we have, I mean, not everybody needs to start their own business, but I can bet there are like a lot of us that want to pursue something new and we just think it's too late, or like it's not the right timing, or it's not that we don't know enough about it. But you will figure things out along this way. The second lesson I want to give you is just, if you are not sure what you want to do and you just, let's say, want to go studying for the sake of going to study, you should take some time off and do something very different with your life. Maybe you leave the country for a bit, you go into a foreign country, because moving abroad is a very big step for you, where you will figure out what you like, where you will figure out how you handle challenges, where you will figure out by meeting different people what life is actually about, at least for yourself, and you can build your own perspective from all these people you meet. Move to a different city, move to a different country, and try something out at least for 6 months to a year to figure out who you are. Because otherwise, you won't be happy with the decision. I even have a lot of friends now that studied because they studied for the sake of studying, but now they're doing something completely off topic of their studies, completely different, and they're much more happy with it. And now when they look back at this time, it was helpful for certain kinds of things, of course, but in the end it was also just a rush decision because of pressure of parents, because of pressure of society, because of the pressure we give ourselves sometimes, that we have to do something to not lose time. But in the end of the day, you have more than enough time to figure out what you want to do. And the more time you take figuring out and trying out different things, the less time you will waste on things you don't care about at all. So if there's then one advice I would give my 17, 16, 18-year-old self, is basically just don't worry too much. Don't listen too much to the other people's opinions, because they have not the same perspective as you, and they haven't gone through the same things as you, and you are a totally different person. And sometimes people tell us what they think we should do, even if we don't care about the things they care about. So they give us advice that suits for their own life. They want us to go to university, they want us to be a doctor, they want us to be a lawyer, they want us to just be successful. But in the end of the day, you can measure your own success if you understand what you truly want. And the more you find your true passion, the more you find the things you care about, the more success will come to you anyways. And I would also tell my younger self, don't take things too seriously, because everything on your way will be figured out by you and only you. No one is coming to save you. You have everything in your own hands. And I know that every challenge that comes up, you can handle it, and you will strive from it, and you will grow. The more you fail, the more problems you will face, the more challenges you will have, the more you will find yourself, and the more you see that you don't belong to any kind of group, the more you feel like, hey, school is nothing for me, the more I think you're getting into the right direction of the things you actually care about, because you understand that some things are just not meant for you to be done. And even if you try it, it's good to try it, and then you move to the next thing, and you still don't like it, you move to the next thing. It's just a matter of trying as many things as you can to figure out what you actually can. It's never too late to start over. Even if I give you now advice when you're still in school, well, I give you my age or like below my age and in your early 20s, I think the same advice could go hand in hand with like older people. So if you're 30, 40, 50 years old, it's never too late to start over again, to figure out what you want, because sometimes we just spend so much time on something we thought we care about, and then we don't want to give it up because we think we spend so much time already on these things that we don't want to start over again because we think it's the right path to go through. But it doesn't matter in the end of the day. It doesn't matter. You can always start over again and like explore yourself, because the happier you will get, the more success will come to you, and the more fulfilled you will live your life. And I think this is what life is about. Not about having the best grades, it's about figuring out who you are. It's about figuring out what you want to do. It's about being successful on your own terms and not what other people think success looks like. So I hope this video gives you a bit of a better perspective on how you should view life, and don't pressure too much about not having the best grades, about not pressuring too much about what you want to do with your life. And now I would love if you drop in the comments down below what you are currently fighting on, and maybe you can reflect on this, and we can reflect on this with each other in the comments, and we can help each other out with this, that we all make the best progress and can make the most of our lives that we actually want to do. So I appreciate you watching the video, and I see you in the next one.